In NFS Undercover, this plane appears only for the first time the area loads. If the area unloads, this plane goes away, never to be seen again. Gran Turismo 6 is one of the weirdest cars ever put in a racing game, the Lunar Roving Vehicle, used in the missions Apollo 15 through 17. Normally this car is locked behind the 3 lunar exploration missions, but if you were to somehow force one to appear in your garage, you'll find that it has a complete description that's never seen before, and despite being made by NASA, its in-game manufacturer is Gran Turismo. It also has a short catch description that only appears in the dealership, much like every other car in the game. For the longest time, it was also the car with the lowest PP score in the entire series, up until the Mercedes Unimog release in GT7's update 1.56. Also, it looks really funny if you race it anywhere else other than the moon, and has a stupidly tight turning radius. Another GT6 fact, when the game released, one of the new tracks for that game was Gran Turismo Arena, a small go-kartish track placed inside a stadium, but it's not the only layout inside the game files. There's 2 Stadium Break variants, Stadium Break 1 and 2. The first one is used in some of the coffee breaks, often filled with cones and obstacles all around the track, but if you were to load it as a normal track, the entire stadium becomes empty, with broken AI pathing. The second track, however, is the most interesting one, as it's shaped like a stunt course, not too dissimilar to Ken Block's Gymkhana that were popular around the same time. This track was never used in any coffee breaks or any other event, yet it has fully working AI paths that can even jump up one of the ramps if they're in a fast enough car. The leaderboard of NFS Underground 1 virtually serves no purpose on the career mode, like it's only there for decoration. However, and specifically the GBA version of Underground 1, the leaderboards quite literally matter more because the career structure lets you choose on which racing discipline to focus on. If you wish to focus only on drag, drift, or sprint events, you are free to do so, and defeated rankers can challenge you back to reclaim their lost spot, or other rankers actively race on other disciplines so their positions randomly change after each race, with the goal of reaching rank number 1 on all 4 disciplines to complete the career. In short, it's far more interactive and free than following a linear progression. Asphalt Extreme, a game where the series takes on an approach of off-road racing in many dirt, snow, desert environments, the cars are also off-road specific with their classes, rally, SUV, buggy, etc. In the Naples update, alongside a new track, there were new cars added, and one of them was this thing. Due to the engine similarities between Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo and Ride 2, which were both made by Milestone, you can put Rally Evo's tracks into Ride 2 and they work surprisingly well. Back in 2005, Fiat offered for the Punto accessories as a dealership option that would make it closely resemble the specification that is seen in Need for Speed Most Wanted. In Initial D the arcade, when the HKS Genki Hyper Silvia was added during the second Hot version collaboration, the Genki logos on the car were removed. It is unknown why they were removed, but it could be due to Sega not being able to get the rights to use the Genki logo in the game. Asphalt Urban GT2 PSP version is mostly a reskin of another Ubisoft game known as 187 Ride or Die, which I actually made a video about a while ago. Both games use the same driving physics and other reused assets. Not to mention, Virtuos developed both PSP versions of these games. In Juice 2, one of the cars you can purchase is the Mazda MX-5. However, for some reason the PS2 PSP port of the game, the front of it was modeled after the NB gen, however the rest of the car it's modeled after the NA gen. In Gran Turismo Sport at the Tsukuba track in an update, there's a billboard promoting their rival iRacing. In response, iRacing did the same thing. Drift Spirits is known for having a lot of Japanese cars in their car roster. But do you know which car has the most variants in this game? The Nissan GTR R35. This game has over 50 plus different GTR models, trim levels, and variants. From official cars such as the 2010 V-Spec, 2024 Nismo Special Edition, 2023 GTR 50 by Ital Design, to tuner cars such as Mine's GTR, HKS R35, and Greedy 35RX D-Spec. Ridge Racer was always inspired by JGTC Super GT, but it's most apparent in the PSP entries, as the cars in class from 1 to 3 have yellow number plates, while 4 to 6 have white number plates, mimicking GT300 and GT500 respectively. Ridge Racer 6 also has a similar thing with its number plates. The slower classes use blue logos while the faster classes use red. Sadly, this neat reference was never brought back in Ridge Racer 7 and onwards, but Ridge Racer Vita did have a DLC car that closely resembles a Super GT spec car, that being the Soldat Meltfire. In Choro Q HG4, a Mini Cooper named Zastope shoots a fart on you if you don't give him money.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
In Gran Turismo 6, one of the trophies needed to platinum the game was Hidden Gem, which requires you to go behind a barrier in the last turn of Mount Panorama, Bathurst, and just smack the blue tires. Also in GT6, in that game they introduced base model dupes of existing race cars, meant for the player to use with custom colors and numbers, before they implemented the fantastic livery editor in GT Sport and 7. A few of those base model cars were cut from the final game, such as the Audi R18 TDI from 2011, the Audi R8 LMS, and the Audi Quattro S1. In Trackmania United Forever and Trackmania Nations Forever stadium environment, if you fall off the stadium map and wait for a while, you'll fall into the skybox, which in this environment is a sphere. In Kaido Racer, Konami decided to change the name of a fictional sponsor Blow Off to Scheisted when localizing the game. But the strangest part about this is that when you apply the sticker to a car in the PAL version, the sticker on the car still reads as Blow Off. It's a very rare occurrence, but in SBK09, on the main PS3, Xbox 360, and PC version, this can happen. The weirdest part about this T-pose glitch is that the head on the rider keeps moving as if everything works just fine, while the rest of the body is just T-posing. One of the new tracks that was added in GT6 was Matterhorn, but what many players don't know is that Matterhorn actually originates from GT5 and was originally a dirt track. It's not even the first or last time this has happened, as earlier Gran Turismo HD premium builds had a different, more rally-like layout of Eiger Nordwand, or with El Capitan in the GT4 Prius demo. In SBK 2011, there's an achievement called This Is How You Play the Game, and it's obtained after finishing a full Grand Prix weekend. You can very easily cheese this achievement by choosing a race and then crashing and quitting the race right after you started it, and then go back to the menu. The game thinks you've completed a full weekend as normal and gives you the achievement. Ride 3 has a few out-of-bounds glitches that are pretty cool to look at. Some maps like the Snake have a lot of collisions all around the map, even in hard-to-reach places that you'd never come close to normally. Also, outside of the Nürburgring Nordschleife layout, there's a food truck that has a Photoshop PNG of Doc Hudson without eyes. In Hot Wheels Ultimate Racing, you can find so many references to Highway 35 and Acceleracers, like Spectite, a giant spinning wheel from Highway 35 where Road Beasts and Wave Rippers work together to get through in Jungle 03, a T-Rex ramp also from Highway 35 where Truo and Rekas failed their jump and fell off in Desert 03, and lastly an underwater part in Jungle 01, which heavily resembles a part where Porkchop sunk himself in Water Realm, including the fish from that realm as well. The arcade mode menu song from GTI Club Supermini Festa actually originates from a never-released rally game by Konami. Konami International Rally Racing was the work-in-progress name for this game, but since it was never released, this name stuck around. The international version of TXR1 added 2 Mitsubishi Eclipses, however none of the rivals used them and they wouldn't reappear until TXR0. If you try to use the Eclipses in the Japanese version of TXR1, they're represented as 2 dummy cars, which are the AP1 S2K. Also for the international version of TXR1, some rival and team logos were altered, which mainly targeted ones with religious elements. Also in the Japanese version of this game, when you buy a car and get to the plate customization screen, if you hit the Y button to randomize the plate serial number and get all 7s on the plate, you're able to buy the car for free. You should get a special chime to indicate that you pulled off the trick correctly. You can also unlock the initial D-style Treno if you put this on the license plate. In Need for Speed Undercover for the PS2, you can find so many carbon leftovers from the PS2 release. This includes every vinyl you'll normally find in Need for Speed Carbon presets like boss cars, crew members, and crew NPCs. Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed on PS1 presented the first iteration of free roam in the series. Albeit small, the areas available would let you test drive your car if you want to check out its settings at your own pace. Moreover, any damage you sustain, you will have to repair it. In the original Colin Mcrae Rally PS1 game, the Renault Megane kit car used for the Novice Championship isn't available in the NTSC Japan releases of the game. Some stages in the later Colin Mcrae Rally games were just reskinned and started finished in different places, but the stages remained the same. For example, in CMR 04 and 05, some stages from France in CMR 2.0 were the same stages in those games, but labeled as Spain instead of France. Synthetic's Alarm for Cobra 11 game series have a variety of lookalike but unlicensed vehicles. However, the first 2 games, Nitro and Crash Time, feature a licensing deal with SEAT, adding 2 models of the second generation Leon as bonus cars, the 2.0T FSI and the Racing WTCC model. The cars are the only ones in the games to not have a damage model. Its inclusion into the series is questionable due to the nature of the gameplay, but also because a year before Nitro released, Synthetic worked on World Racing 2, a game that has licensed cars and features other brands from the Volkswagen Group, such as Volkswagen themselves or Skoda. In TXR 2025, there's only 2 rivals that appear in the parking area with their aura on, and both are the add-on VTuber Wanderer rivals, being Lightning Fast Carriage Driver and Rainbow Parallel World Traveler. They only appear at the weekends. In Forza Horizon 4, you can push the camera away from the car if you buy the Castleview Roadhouse. A map of Special Stage Route 5 from the Gran Turismo series appears on Screamer. This can be seen in the settings menu under the interface option. This discovery was made by one of the users on GT Planet, pointing out the usage of the map. In Need for Speed Undercover for the PSP, there's one mission early in the game's career where you have to deliver a modified 911 GT2 by jumping from a broken bridge. If you glitch yourself out of a race under one of the bridges on the second map, drive all the way to the broken bridge and fall in the middle, there's this tiny stretch of drivable terrain that soft locks you. In Carbone the City, in this one-way jump, if you reset yourself right before the jump and as close to the right wall as possible, your car freaks out and respawns you on top of the roof, which for some reason has collision. In TDU2, in one of the driving convoy missions scattered around Hawaii, you can drive a hidden cut car, the Audi 4.2 V8 Quattro R-Tronic. This car is half broken as it shares the same bodywork and sounds as the 5.2 V10, but it otherwise has hidden stats revealing it was supposed to appear in the A3 class. In Mobile 1 Rally Championship, also known as Rally Championship 2000, you can easily go out of bounds on Ballinger by jumping over the hedge on the right of the first sector after first square left. The hitboxes with environment other than ground tends to be pretty inaccurate, plus physics in contact with the hedge are pretty wonky. In NFS Pro Street, Ryo Watanabe has an Evo 10 for drifting, which would be impossible due to the car being all-wheel drive. To bypass this, the car is actually a 350Z in the game files, but with an Evo 10 skin. WRC 3 has quite a few concept cars. In 4x4 Evo, you can send your car into the stratosphere. In choro Q Shitty 4, there's a factor that changes the races in this game that is based on which gender you choose at the beginning of the game, in which the opponent's racers will become tad more lenient on their attacks or overall catch-up speed. That's if you play as a female Q. If you play as a male Q, then all the opponents will of course be extremely aggressive, especially in the tournaments like the Mazda RX-3 by Gygas as he tries to kill you on every corner. For some reason, in the Italian version and German version of Burnout Paradise, DJ Atomica is female.
You know, there are more cars in the air than birds these days. Watch yourself, people. I'm going out to buy a helmet. DJ Atomica, hiding under a table. Out.
La tua patente ora è di classe C. Molto bene. Ma non illuderti che passare alla classe B sia così facile. La mappa degli eventi è di nuovo pulita. Ora sta a te farti strada.
Überall in Paradise City stehen Burnout-Werbetafeln. Schaffst du es, alle umzufahren? Fahre durch eine Tankstelle, um schnell Boost zu tanken. Die Tankstellen werden dann auf der Karte eingetragen.
Most of you know Reiko and her cousin Kei Nagase and Ai Fukami from Ridge Racer. Namco for some reason had this weird thing in the 2000s where almost every game of theirs had to have a girl mascot front and center. And that includes the MotoGP games, with Hitomi Yoshino. She debuted in MotoGP 2, but in MotoGP 3 she was a playable character, with her own unique bike and tachometer. Despite her 2 appearances, she wasn't a mascot only for MotoGP, as she was a full-on Namco sports image girl, and she was also playable in Smash Court Tennis. In 2009, Milestone made a game based on a rather obscure racing series called Superstars V8 Racing, and for some reason they didn't have all the licenses for all of the cars. BMW, Jaguar, and Audi stayed as they are, but the Cadillac CTS-V, Chevrolet Lumina, Chrysler 300C, and the Mercedes C63 AMG had to be renamed with fictional names and brands. The CTS-V became the Mustard E1, the Lumina turned into the Cluster S3P, the 300C got renamed as the Barricade DM, and the C63 changed into the Scorpio IZ4. Despite the brand licensing issues, the drivers of these cars kept their original names. This issue was later fixed in the sequel game Superstars V8 Next Challenge, as all the cars reappeared in that one, with their correct branding and liveries. In Ridge Racer 1 and 2 for the PSP, if you enter a race on Diablo Canyon Road forward and not backwards, complete 2 laps. On the 3rd lap just before the finish line, you can find Katamari rolling around on the left side of the track.
You okay?
Burnout 1 was originally going to be released in Japan as Heaven's Drive, but when Acclaim Japan got shut down, Sega took over as the publisher and renamed it into Grand Heat, but the game never got released. The game was playable at some point at Tokyo Game Show in 2002. In Asphalt 7 Heat, there was supposed to be a garage mode just like in Asphalt 6, but it was scrapped. You can listen to the garage music, which is unused. Asphalt 8 career mode stages are actually named after their previous titles, with stages 1 and 2 Welcome and Extraordinary Race, stage 3 Street Rules, stage 4 Elite, stage 5 Injection, stage 6 Adrenaline, and stage 7 Heat. In Asphalt Extreme, one of the pop-up ads shows the Photoshop version of Wombat Typhoon's render from MotorStorm Pacific Rift. One of the announcers says that someone left a blue car with a license plate saying NFS Car BN in front of a Super promotion tent, which is a reference to Darius Supra from Carbon.
Alright, attention down there in the car show area. Everybody listen up. Important announcement. I've got a car, a little blue car here. I can't tell what it is. License plate NFS CARBN. The little blue car, you'll know it's you because it's got the crazy NFS CARBN license plate. You're parked right in front of the Super Promotions tent. Good deal. Now you gotta move it. If you don't move it, somebody's gonna move it for you. Get down there right away, please. Thanks.
In Dirt 2, there are 3 cut events in the Dirt Tour mode, 2 in LA and 1 in Japan. These being DC Rallycross, Skin Industries King of LA Domination, and this, which roughly translates to Team Hachiko Race, a rallycross event in Japan. Also, there's a cut Utah event, which is the Oakley Utah Trailblazer. In the game files though, it is listed as a placeholder icon. In Need for Speed Undercover, at this location there's a strange texture floating around. Warren comments on you triggering the profanity filter for custom plates in Forza Horizon 3.
I mean, that is pretty funny, but no. Mate, I'm Australian. I appreciate your commitment to profanity, but this is a family show we're running here.
In Need for Speed Pro Street for the DS, the length of the Autobahn drag course is actually slightly longer than all the other drag tracks, despite all of the drag courses being considered a quarter-mile in length. Also, this game shares all of the best drag times even between different tracks, which means individual drag times for each tracks are not counted. In the PSP version of MotorStorm Arctic Edge, in 4 specific tracks, there are hidden emblems that you can take a photo of using the in-game photo mode, and in doing so, you will unlock some cool liveries and stickers for your vehicles. The 4 emblems are all references to Sony's other games, aka Little Big Planet, Wipeout, Killzone, and Pursuit Force. The last one was made by the same devs. In Hot Wheels Stunk Track Challenge, the Diora 2 reused the same surfboard and windshield textures as Vert Wheeler's Diora 2 in Hot Wheels World Race. In GT7, once you select a track to race on, there's the Change Car button, and the background changes depending on the car color, but I think most people didn't know that it also changes the font color and the key behind, depending on which combination of colors your livery has. You can escape the map in Forza Horizon 4. In MXGP3, you can land some sick tricks due to the game physics. You can also pull off stuff like this. Midnight Club Street Racing is the only midnight club which allows you to drive both police and NPC vehicles from both New York and London, and gives you the ability to drive a tuned-up version of the starter taxi. In Need for Speed Rivals, laptops inside police vehicles have both a detailed display and work as mirrors. In Race Driver Grid, one of the cars that is featured in this game is the Pagani Zonda R. However, the one depicted in the game differs from the one that appears in many games. That's because it was based off on early drawings. This fact is regarding PS Home. PS Home was a Second Life kind of game, a mix between social media and a game. There was a specific hub called Sodium 2 Project Velocity. Imagine something akin to Industrial Wipeout. So to sell you on the Wipeout feel alongside some other composers, some of the licensed music comes from Cold Storage, the composer of the original Wipeout game. In the Melbourne House PS2 PSP version of Test Drive Unlimited, the multiplayer exclusive races can be played in the randomly selected Quick Race game mode, but this race called Car Park Now is the weirdest, where the pathfinding of the AI is broken, like so. Before there was Big Surf Island, there was Breaker Island, an island consisting of industrial buildings and factories all over. It was meant to be a DLC for Burnout Paradise, but was ultimately replaced with Big Surf Island. This island never made it to retail. It was only found in the January 31st, 2008 build. In NFS Underground 1, downforce is actually set up in brakes. Also, the Acura Integra Type R has inaccurate downforce stats and higher brake upgrades, which makes your car handle worse if you upgrade brakes. There was once an unreleased demo for Colin Mcrae Dirt called Hummer Dirt Experience. This is what the description says about it. The demo includes a single 2-lap 5-car rally raid race on the USA San Siro mountain course. Both the player and opponents use the Hummer Rod Hall H3 Anniversary Edition, a vehicle unique to this unreleased version of Colin Mcrae Dirts. In Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, the real-life casting for the Verts, named after the Accelerator's character Vert Wheeler, is called Reverb, a name that got lost due to licensing and changed to Revert in its 2025 Silver Series release. Also in this game, in the backyard map, you can find a pizza box on the roof of the house. This is an obvious reference to Breaking Bad.